I think we're live. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. How you all doing? And this is my match reaction / review to West Ham drawing, bottling it against Burnley at Turf Moor. We're going to discuss everything. We're going to break the whole game down. But first of all, if you guys are watching live, get involved in the comments. Of course, these live reviews are also so you guys can get involved. Let me know your thoughts, whether you're a West Ham fan, Burnley fan, Championship fan, or just watched it because I think it was the only game on right at the time. Obviously, the Premier League doesn't start till next week. So if you guys are just checking in, please get involved in the comments. Make sure you hit the like, comment, and subscribe button if you're new. It generally really helps the channel out. And yeah, we're going to get started by just talking about how that was one of the most frustrating things ever. You know when they say watching your football team is like watching a disaster movie waiting to happen, and you can just see it, and you can just, you know it's coming. That was this game for me. Burnley, look, they weren't bad. I think we were a lot better than them, for sure. I think you know, for the first half, look, they had a really strong first 5 minutes. They came out the blocks firing. I think, fair enough, they were the much better team for that very quick period of the game. But then after that, and once you get past that point, I thought, you know, we seemed to do better. I think the goal changed everything. I think that's going to be the tale of the entire fixture, to be honest. Goals changed everything because we scored with Max Kilman. Max Kilman, great goal, first West Ham goal, happy for him. Didn't have a bad game, Kilman, in terms of overall performance. Made a few mistakes, but then everyone did today, so I can't really just pin it on him. Great goal from a corner. But after that, we seemed to do really well, especially Orford and Kante in the midfield in the first half were really strong, I thought. I thought they were really developing the game. The partnership was working well together. And then all of a sudden, it all goes wrong. You know, we go into the end of the first half, you know, 1-0 up, and we're kind of feeling a bit confident. You know, we've definitely settled into the game at that point. We've certainly performed in a certain way that allows us to think we've got this in the bag. You know, we're going to be strong and we're going to push on to get results. And then the second half happens. We change Pablo for Ward-Prowse. I don't know if that was tactical or injury thing. But, you know, that's a situation that I think makes sense. Obviously, it would be better if we had a second striking option to bring on. But obviously, at the minute, we don't. So it had to be a midfielder. I probably, in that situation, on reflection, would have gone for Earthy. And that's not a slight on James Ward-Prowse. That's a slight on how good the game went. But we did that, and we just started to just lose everything. We put Bowen up top. I think we put Ward-Prowse on the right, and then all of a sudden, it just started to go wrong. I don't understand what this thought process is that Bowen is a good number 9, or even false 9. Like, yes, he's done it under David Moyes, and it wasn't horrific, but it definitely just it hinders us so much. And I know there's rumours of Joe Pirro, Troy Parrott. We need bodies, because that tactical change, and it is on Nuno today. Let's not joke around. It's on Nuno, and we'll talk about the penalty in a minute. Obviously, you know, very early in the review. But that change of putting Bowen up top was so. It reaped what we sowed basically. Because from about, I don't know, when did we score? 15, 12 minutes into the game? After that, we were solid. We were compact. We were dominating the game. We weren't doing anything special, but we were making sure that we were the team that were in control. We were making it difficult for Burnley to get on the ball. All of a sudden, we put one of our creative outlets in the middle, and we're trying to play, you know, we've never changed the way we're playing. It plays into their hands. And because of our bench being as weak as it is, there was no options to change that. We didn't have anything. And it's really unfortunate. I would love to have seen Nuno put a bit more faith in Ajala, you know, or someone like that, Earthy. Give us some attacking threat, because Orford and Kante, like, I know people say Kante was rubbish. He set up a wonderful goal. Like, there's, you know, fair play to him. I thought he was linking up really well with Orford in the first half. Second half, yeah, maybe, but he's on a yellow card for most of it because he had to take the yellow because he had to take that tactical foul. So he's also hindered in the way he can play, because if he gets a red, then we're, you know, up shit's creek that panel. So I understand, in theory, why I took Pablo off. Again, it wasn't working. He wasn't having the best game. But also, he replaced him with Ward-Prowse, and Ward-Prowse didn't play bad because everyone started to play bad. So I can't pin this on Ward-Prowse. But what I'm pinning it on is the fact that we have this idea. And again, if you're watching, and there are people watching, what is the idea that Bowen's a good striker? He's a really good goal scorer from the right. He's a really good chance creator from the right. And look, Charlie in the chat, top lad, lack of senior option on the bench has been such a problem for us since Jan. Absolutely, mate. The fact, I understand we're missing Alvarez, Souček, La Madrid, right? Cool. But the fact that we don't have another striker is, to me, horrific. I don't believe the two up top works. I would have much preferred the sub be... keep the sub the same. And then just make it a 4-3-3. Just do that. That is by far the better. I genuinely cannot think the last time I saw Jared Bowen. This is no slight on Bowen at all. I can't remember a time where Jared Bowen was a striker and it made us better for that. It's ridiculous. I don't know where this comes from. It's like the five at the back that Nuno did against Newcastle. When have we ever played five at the back and actually been good recently? It doesn't make sense to me. I just think we were we wrote our own demise today. It was so simple to get across line. There's no disrespect to Burnley. Burnley were like Fleming was incredible. Fair play to them, so the crosses they were getting in, their set piece work was sensational. But we had the ability, and we proved it in the second half of the first half, that we could have got across the line today. And we just didn't do the basics because we have such a thin squad. We need to put our best players in their best positions and do that. And because, the way the transfer window works, and I've said before and I'll say it again, I understand why we've been slow. But if you want to do the 4-4-2, you need another striker on the bench just in case. You can't just rely on Pablo and Tati. An ideal world for me, and I know this is absolutely rogue as any of them, I'd be playing Tati in the 10 with whoever the next striker is that comes in. Whether it be Pirot, Parrott, both, Jamie Vardy, I don't care. But what we showed today is that we don't have what we need to get across the line. And it's also not fair on the academy boys. Look, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have seen a Jala, come on, or Golan Beckers when we were 2-0 up, right? Before that penalty. But you can't throw them on in a game when we have to get a goal. That's not development. That's costing them their careers. And one thing I always say Nuno's good at, as a manager, is player management. I think he really makes a player feel welcome and loved and a part of the system. Whatever you want to say. But I don't understand it. I don't understand what his thought process was there. Because again, I've never seen Jared Bowen as a striker work for West Ham. But let's break down the goals. Second goal, brilliant work from Mohamedou Kante down the left-hand side into Manuel Solomon, gets his goal. Fair play, Solomon played a really good game today. I don't know whether he's injured. He signalled to come off, about the 85th minute, I want to say, maybe a bit later. So hopefully he's okay. He was a high fight. He was shaking the hands of the players on the bench. He didn't seem like he was in too much discomfort. But yeah, that was a tricky one. Tricky goal. And Kante did well, and Solomon did really well to him, and fair play to him. He had a really good game, Solomon, today. Got his goal on debut. Seemed really dangerous in the first half, when we actually had an outlet. Now we have to talk about Ollie Scholes. And look, I like Ollie Scholes. I think he's got potential. But he made two mistakes very quickly. I think Ollie Scholes is one of those players, unfortunately, that when he gets in his head a lot. Because we saw it, was it against Fulham? I don't know, again, there's a few people watching. Was it Fulham when he made that mistake and he ended up crying after the game? It was really difficult to watch. Bless him. This obviously wasn't as bad as that. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys. I had to sneeze there on a live. That's terrible. But, he unfortunately, it's a penalty. It just is. There's no other way around it. There's no argument. It's a penalty. He gives it away. Fleming's not going to miss that. And then he makes another mistake with a throw-in. And it's sort of like, that's okay if it's his first season or so. But he's been around the block for a little bit now. He knows his way around football. And yes, is that a new rule in general football now, the 5 second thing? Maybe it caught him out. But even so, the referee was right in his view line. And there's been a lot of throw-ins in the game. It's a pill point of the game. You can't be making those mistakes. Also, because I was complimenting our midfield in the first half, it's if we went to pot, Charlie coming in, feels so bad for Scarles, thought he had a good game before that. Yeah, that's it. He had a really good game. And that's the issue. That's why I don't know whether I'm being out of pocket here by saying, does he get in his own head too much? Because I just think this is where we lack the leadership, possibly defensively. I think, back in the days when we would have had a Zuma or something like that, someone that could really shepherd him in the defence to kind of calm down a Soufal, something like that, because yes, Bowen can come over and kind of help him out, but what you need is a defensive mind just to calm him down a little bit. I just don't think we have that right now. I think Mavropanos is good, I think Kilman's good, they've obviously got experience, but you need that experienced head just to go over and be like, look mate, chill. That honestly, because I don't think he played bad. I do think we win the game without that penalty. I don't see them getting 2 goals from open play. But yeah, it's not. It's tricky. And then the second goal comes from a set piece, which I mentioned earlier, was one of their best facets of the game and fair play. I mean, I'm not going to judge any team for being really good at set pieces. It's sort of a way of football now. I know some people moan about it and say, oh, it's too strategical or whatever. But I think that's just the way football goes now. It's not. And I think fair enough, falls to Fleming, that's a goal. And it's not, if anything, it's one of those unlucky ones, but when you're 2-0 up, you can unfortunately take an unlucky goal. And if we're being honest to Burnley, they deserved it. And I wouldn't have minded this result if the in general, because this weekend of Championship games have been a bit crazy. It's definitely the first week of the Championship. You can see that by the results. When things settle, and they will settle, who knows where people end up. But this is just, it's just annoying that we are doing the same stuff we did last season. We are causing ourselves issues we don't need to cause. Now, yes, as Charlie pointed out in the chat, it is down to the bench. But it's also the tactical situation. Like, again, it's just Bowen going up top to me. Just, it didn't work. And I think the only issue I have with Nuno and maybe Moyes and maybe every manager we've had, I don't know whether this is just football managers these days, because obviously I only really watch West Ham intently. But when it looks like the ship's about to hit the iceberg, and we don't pivot and we just sit there, it was like England with Tuchel against Argentina. Didn't change it. Why are football managers now so intent on sitting back and waiting? And I'm not going to pretend I know better than Nuno or anything like that. I'm a guy who sits on his arse and talks about football. But I could see that coming from a mile away. And I can't fathom what happened today. Because we are meant to be, I know Burnley also got relegated, but we are meant to be a team that have kept our best players for the most part, kept our manager, who's meant to be a Premier League manager, and we shut the bed. Nuno's doing an interview right now on TV, which obviously I can't watch. I really hope in the interviews he's not going to be like, yeah, good performance, because it wasn't. There were some really good individual performances. I thought Lewis Orford had a good game today. I thought Ollie Scarles, despite the mistakes, looked really strong. Walker Peters was alright. Mavropanos was absolutely fine. Tati was good, although he did this frustrating thing. We got a booking for no reason. Solomon looked bright. Bowen looked bright. It's just the individual errors and the tactical errors for me were the root cause of the issue, and we need to stop those, because it's okay on week 1 because our team's not fully complete. We got injuries. Who knows who's going to be, who's not. I do think it's interesting that Juff isn't starting over Scarles. Hopefully, if they are going to keep Juff, that changes, because I think what happened, to be fair, Scarles did benefit from, staying in the team for that period and actually improved rather than getting dropped. So maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know. I feel like I should have left that game today being really happy and positive and feeling really good. And I'm leaving it annoyed. Not angry as such. I don't think it was like oh my God, we're in so much trouble, we're definitely not getting promoted. But it does feel like the same issues are haunting us that were before, and we've been told that the team's been preparing so that those things don't happen. I get it's football and anything can happen, right? I'm not a muppet. It's not algorithmic as such. But I don't know, I just think that it's annoying to see the same pattern again. And I don't know what to say. I'm going to be doing my player ratings tomorrow. It's going to be interesting because I think the player ratings will be high as well. I don't know whether I'm on something because it's the first game and being nice, but I don't think anyone played bad. Maybe Pablo, bless him. But I don't think anyone played bad. We showed that we knew what we were doing in the first half, and we make a slight change to it because we have no depth, and it just falls apart. I really hope that the guys, at West Ham have seen that and gone, all right, yeah, we do need to get signings in. I'm sure we will. Like, I'm sure, obviously, we'll have Engels, which I think will be a massive help. Yeah, today was far from the end of the world, but the fact we went from pure vibes to easy win to 2-point shot is right. Yeah, exactly. I was watching that second half, Charlie, and I was thinking, this is easy. This is nice. I'm not an egotistical way, but it's nice to watch. My partner went back to Spain today. It's been a bit of a rough day for myself. I'm not going to say it for a while. I was dreading watching this game, and then that happens. I'm like, oh god, that's not what we want to see, is it? I just. Again, anyone that's watching now, there's a few people get involved in the comments. I want to hear your guys' thoughts because am I just being too nice? Or negative. I'm really annoyed at the management today more than I am the players. That's basically my underlying feel, is that I don't really blame the players, but I do think there is PTSD because whenever we concede a goal, we just shrivel up. Like the midfield, which was so good all throughout the game, all just went to pot. And I don't get it. Rob Green's hair, by the way. Sorry, this is unrelated. Rob Green's hair is immaculate. I don't know if anyone's actually still got Sky Sports Football up. Fair play, Rob. I've never seen it with such volume. That's probably one of the most unrelated things ever. I'm so sorry. You've all clicked off now. You didn't come here for a Rob Green hair review, but just so you know, it's banging. I think we need a striker at least, possibly two if we're going to continue this 4-4-2 malarkey. We need another winger option, which I think we're interesting because obviously we'll have La Madrid, so we don't need four. We don't need five. Sorry, we need the four. Obviously with La Madrid being injured and we've not got that fourth one yet. We had no wingers on the bench. I think we might need a creative midfielder. Although if we get enough strikers, I think Tati could be that 10 that we're looking for because that's possibly more his remit. And then there's definitely centre-backs, and that's not even being mean to Van and Kilburn. They've got a really good partnership. I just think that if one of them gets injured, so we have to play one of the young lads, I really would never want to see, with all due respect to him, because he's having a much better season, finally getting that little bit of confidence, I never want to see Max Kilburn with a academy centre-back. I just think the confidence will be shot. Honest to God. I think right now the worst player you could give an academy centre-back as a partner is Max Kilburn. Because part of me thinks, maybe now he's got his goal be different, but part of me thinks that actually Max Kilburn probably has less confidence than the academy centre-back. It's just, again, I could talk, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I'm talking nonsense now, so I'm going to wrap up the stream. But thank you guys very much for watching. It's amazing. I used to do this channel and there used to be nobody watching the streams, and I've had about 8 people. Look, Charlie summed up the stream. Came for West Ham's sake, stayed for the Rob Green hair review. I don't think it's going to get better than that. I think the Rob Green hair review is where we need to leave it. I think that's what we need to take away from today. But if you guys are here, if you are new as well, could you give a like, comment, subscribe? It honestly means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with the stream. Get involved in the comments as well. I'll still read them and I'll still be, checking them out. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Take it easy and bye-bye.